Is Misha Hilton, and I will be doing my sprint review on Precious Cobbler's Ghost Core. So I've already downloaded the build and extracted it, and I'll get it set up to run after I go over the first task. So my first task out of 28 of them, I'm going to go over the bugs. So the ghost avatar persistence. The ghost does not always destroy itself when the player returns to the human body on the ship. The expected results is that the ghost should disappear when returning to the human body. The actual results is that the ghost remains standing in place when the player returns to the human body. And to replicate it, you just need to return to the human body when you reach it in the ship. And it's a high priority. So of course it's been fixed. Here is the video.
No, you're good.
This was from a playtest. And you can see that the ghost was there in the corner. Should not be there. Okay, so let's go ahead and open the build.
This is Houston Control. Check for backup. Backup initiated. Locking out all ports. Clear. And we are good to go.
Here, all right, so as soon as I get to this player, I should be able to return to the body and not have this ghost that I'm in now standing there.
Ship status,
And there we
unrepairable
go.
damage.
The next one, actually, this was changed to the audio damage effect. I can show you where the history is of the change. I thought it was the screen flashing that when damage isn't taking damage from the turret bullets, but it was actually the audio that was the cause. And so it's pretty much the same. Anywhere that it says audio was just swapped out for screen. So the audio is playing when the damage isn't taken from the turret bullet. The audio should only play when damage is taken. The audio plays when the bullet overlaps the player, but damage isn't taken. Steps to replicate: stand close in front of the stationary turret. And the severity is medium. So of course it was fixed. And so this is the video of the problem. And the sound is not playing, but it was the audio. Okay, so let's jump into the the build, and let's hit resume. All right, so I'm gonna stand close.
Warning, damage critical.
And I'm dead. Okay. The next task, I wanted to demonstrate the additional features of checkpoints. As a player, I want to be able to respawn at certain intervals if I die, and after passing those intervals, a blueprint placed in the levels will set the position and save the current vitals. The player will respawn when the player runs over it. If they choose to respawn from the checkpoint upon death, what they died from will reset at half value. So I need to create a checkpoint BP, add a restart from checkpoint button, in the you died widget blueprint, and then reset the position and stats using the game mode blueprint. So let's go back to the build. And as you can see, the restart checkpoint is there. This pops up only if you pass the checkpoint. And I'll show you where the checkpoint is, and I'll show you that this doesn't pop up without that. So I'm going to restart the level. So when I hit pause, you don't see the restart from level or the restart from checkpoint because I haven't ran over the checkpoint. Okay, so we're going to resume. The checkpoint here is right after this bridge, right here. So when you cross it, you'll see it say checkpoint reach registered at the top. See, there it goes. And then when I hit pause, you'll see the restart replay at checkpoint pops up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and kill myself.
Presence, avoid detection or disable with EMP laser. Warning, damage critical.
Okay. Restart at
Unable
checkpoint.
to revive.
Point.
Warning, low oxygen.
Here I am. All right. I'm gonna pause and restart the level.
Updated.
You'll see the replay does not show up when I die. So I'm just gonna die on this fire here.
Visor malfunctioning. Repairs needed. When suit is damaged, oxygen leaks from the suit. Increased damage levels increases oxygen depletion.
All right.
Warning, damage critical. Unable to revive.
And see,
Pilot
I didn't
J.
get the
Hull,
checkpoint. It's not
deceased.
there. So I'm gonna leave it here and go on to the next task. Is player feedback on the ghost insight. Okay. Let's click on that. And as a player, I want to be reminded to use the insight as soon as I possess the ghost. Insight starts the ghost dialogue and shows the player what to do as a ghost if they are lost or forgot that insight is an option, and the text will remain on screen until pressed. I actually decided to put the screen until it's the text has to stay on the screen until it's it when you release insight, the text will go away, so it's a toggle. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the build.
Warning, psychological vitals decreasing.
All right, so I'm possessing the ghost and it's telling me to use the insight. So this happens every time I possess any ghost. You'll see use insight for guidance. And then when you press it, you can see the ghost trail and you can see the icons and all of that, what to do when you get to certain places. And when you let go, all that goes away. Read off of the next task. Oh, and the subtask was to change the placement of the insight reminder from the end of the possession, end of the ghost messages to the beginning, which it used to be at the end, but it's in the beginning as soon as you possess. All right. So the additional features Ghost Dialog Box. As a player, I want to see the internal dialogue, the ghost I possess on the screen until possess a different ghost or if I astral project. The dialogue should be in a list form, populating as the ghost collects their memory fragments. It should have the transparent background and text be green to follow the theme of the ghost HUD. Add a ghost widget blueprint HUD to a vertical box inside a border. Add 9 slots to the vertical box. Align the box to adjust the vertical box, and then wrap the text and apply color. Add text from the level blueprint. Okay, so let's head over to the build. Hit resume, and as you can see, the dialog box does show up, and it is green. Go to the next task. As a player, I want to collect more than one memory fragment to unlock more of the ghost memories that I possess. Collecting each fragment will uncover more information the player can choose to learn. Or not, because they don't have to get all the memory fragments. So add extra memory fragment types to each level. And this is where the original fragment was, and there were no other ones. But there's one here now. It's going to be 3 per color in every level.
Warning, low oxygen.
And there's a third one up there. And then let's head over to the next task. My next task was player feedback, levitation placement silhouettes. As a player, I want to be shown where to place the objects I levitate. The indicator should be transparent, disappear if I place the item there, and reappear if it was removed, or if insight was used on a ghost. All right. I needed to create a blueprint that was a static mesh, add collision box, and connect it to the insight function. And let's head over to the build. So when I get this, you can see that the silhouette popped up over there. And when I go levitate this and
Coworkers
place it
driving you
here,
insane. Regain
it
some of
went
that
away.
sanity with Zany
When I
Pop.
remove it, it comes back. Okay. Okay, so the next task I have is Astro Ghost Orbiting Fragments. So as a player, I want to visibly see the abilities I possess through orbiting fragment types. The wandering ghosts the player interacts with when they collect memory fragments, they are a certain color. The colors represent the abilities the wandering ghost has, and the player's astral projection will have that fragment ability orbiting it, showing that it has that ability as well. All right, so I need to make the orbiting fragments visible around the astral ghosts. It was already visible around the wandering ghosts, and so I just needed to make it visible around your projected ghosts. So let's head back over to the build. I'm going to hit resume. I did already get the green fragment with this ghost, so it should be circling my astral ghost. And there it is. All right, so player feedback on the astral projection suggestion. So as a player, I want to be required to use or suggested to use astral projection at least 3 times during demo. What the astral projection will need to do will increase the player's progress through each level. Okay. So what I did, I suggested using astral projection to scope out ahead of in the maintenance shaft. This is on level 2, and let's jump over to the build. Okay, so here is the next part that suggests that you use your astral projection. So out of 28 tasks, I did all 28.
Hi, my name is Justin Larson, and I'm going to be going over the 16 tasks uh, that I was approved for to accomplish our final build for Ghost Core. I am with Precious Cobbler, and this is our current build, version 0.50, and I have it extracted and ready to go. Now, during this, I have already I'm going to be popping in my Jira explanations throughout the gameplay um, to basically save time. So let's get into it. So let's talk about our visor and helmet calibration. So for the helmet and visor calibration, we had a new model of the helmet come in, but there was some changes that needed to be done because of the way the artist created the helmet. Created the visor to go from atop the head over the eyes. Old design came from behind the head and went around the side of the head, the left side of the head, and covered the eyes. So I had to change the roll instead of the yaw on the rotation after applying the model to the helmet. I adjusted the widgets to fit the widget component slots. And on top of that, we went ahead and made the widget transparent instead of having opaque material because the artist was able to create a black screen for the widgets. And then I adjusted camera positioning to fit all the widgets in the widget viewport because the helmet was significantly smaller than the old design. One other thing to note is that the artist um, added a cracked screen or a cracked helmet glass for when the character became severely damaged. So I went ahead and implemented that as well. So next, we'll talk about Ghost Falls through the conveyor belt. All right. So in this, the ghost fell through conveyor belts. They just clipped straight through them. So we'll give a little video demonstration of it. You'll see here that the ghost will essentially just fall straight through the conveyor belt. Um, uh, doesn't stop on it or anything, but it does stop on other solid objects. The reason for this, that it turned out, was because a collision property had been changed on the ghost to overlap dynamic objects. We changed that uh, back because it really wasn't necessary that the ghost passes through dynamic objects. We're going to talk about the conduit leading lines. What I'll do is I will discuss each one and give a demonstration of how the conduit follows through each of the levels. So another thing I had to do with the conduit system is to adjust its custom depth render to render at 50 meters in the visor to avoid PFI overload. So we'll start with adding conduits to level 1. In that, we have an image of what it should look like, or what it was originally supposed to look like. Um, and it basically followed the same guidelines. The main idea behind it was to follow the golden path. Now, after consideration and putting things together, we realized that going path 3 and path 2 is not actually the golden path. Those two are optional paths. So I wound up condensing the conduits to just focus on some switches that are here and here in order to open the way to the very end. So you'll see that in this demonstration here. Restructuring existing conduits in level 2 to follow the golden path. I had to do that as well. Here is, and we also had to delete any irrelevant conduits. So here is a layout of level 2. As you can see, starts here at 1 and follows the path to point 2, which is a switch over into point 2, and it will also follow a path right here. There will be another switch there. That is some of the changes that I wound up making along the way. And then we'll go to point 3, point 4, point 5, point 6, go down to the lower level and follow all the way through while connecting to some breaker boxes in this area here with some hammers. Add conduits to level 3. In this image here, you'll see that it starts at the docking bay doors, and 1 follows through, goes through the computer breaker puzzle to open this door here, and then goes up to the next level at point 6 and comes out at point 7. This followed pretty close to the same way it was with a few level design tweaks. So let's demonstrate sanity events persist after sanity is recovered. So sanity should cancel. Well, what I had originally planned was sanity events should cancel once the player has recovered over 50% sanity, which has always been the case. But they should stop within 15 seconds. What I wound up doing is actually making that within 5. 15 seconds was a little bit long, so I brought it down even further, down to 5 seconds. In this video, you'll hear footsteps, right? Those footsteps are a sanity event. Now, the ambient sanity sounds went away, but the footsteps are still there. And they persist about for quite some time. And you'll see that that they, in this demonstration, that they go away almost immediately. Level polish, dark vision. So as a player, I want to be able to use my visor so I can see clearly in dark areas. The lighting in many parts of the levels is still too dark for night vision to pick up on, which we were able to adjust that. So we applied gray point lights in level 2. In these 2 areas here, the beginning docking area, which was almost pitch black, as well as the abandoned mine area. Excuse me. In this area, you'll see that we wound up using gray point lights. But in this area, we instead actually used the existing lighting features and was able to dim those down instead of turn them off from the puzzle. So level 3 gray point lights, the designer of level 3 decided to brighten up the dock area that was pitch black without my knowing about it after I had already completed everything. So this wound up becoming a moot point, but I had applied gray point lights here. So this one, we adjust the exposure settings in post-process to balance the night vision to new low light environments. With this, we wound up essentially doing that, basically brought the exposure level up to 5 instead of 4. But not only that, we had to stabilize it too. I hope this video provided a decent explanation behind my 16 tasks.
My name is Mdasa Rickball, and I'm going to be showing off 4 different tasks today. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and start the game because we're required to show it launching from Perforce, and it takes me a little bit of time to get to an actual place where I could show off the tasks. Go ahead.
Mayday, Mayday, pilot unresponsive, ship out of control, prepare for crash landing. Warning, damage critical. When suit is damaged, oxygen
I'm going to
leaks
go ahead
from
and
the
ignore all
suit.
the
Increased
instructions
damage
and
levels increases
voiceovers
oxygen
because I already know
depletion.
exactly what to do.
Warning, psychological vitals decreasing. Ship status, unrepairable damage, inoperable, objectives, updated.
Oxygen. Alright, going to go ahead and open up the hatch first because most of the things I need to show off are inside. But for the first one, I'm gonna go ahead and go to that other door right there. Just use my sanity and oxygen real quick because they are integral to the game. And I will die if I don't. Okay. So for my first task is going to be a bug. As the player, I want the turrets to reset their rotation when not following me. Summary line, the turret does not reset its pitch after losing sight of the player. Expected result, the turret should reset its rotation pitch after losing sight of the player. Actual result, the turret keeps its new pitch and begins to rotate around it at its origin. Steps to replicate, have the turret spot the player at a different elevation and then lose sight. Severity is high because the detection becomes unpredictable when the rotation origin switches to certain pitch values, which is right here. Do I have to refresh? I have to refresh. Okay, so right here, I'm gonna turn down the volume. So right here, if the turret spots the player at a different angle that isn't at eye level, it starts chasing them like it should, but then when it stops, it starts rotating around its new pitch at its origin, which messes up detection because now on this side it might eventually spot me, but if I'm on the other side, it's never going to spot me because the turret is looking directly upwards. My tasks were test bug at different elevations, and then apply, fix, and test. I had this set for 20 minutes because I thought that's all it was going to take, but obviously it went way over that. This took me about 2 hours to do. And if we hop back into the game, you can see it right here. Oh, it just missed me. Come on. So if it rotates around, you will see right here, changing its elevation like it should. And if I go ahead and make it lose sight of me, it'll just start rotating again and reset its pitch back to where it should be, which is right in the middle. And then again, go below it, I can jump, and it'll keep following me. And the moment it loses sight, it'll just reset itself. So there's that. Then, just gonna fill up my oxygen again. If I head inside...
Base status, life support disabled.
The other three are going to be in
Malfunctioning.
pretty
Flight
close
deck
proximity to each
ready
other
for
inside
departure.
as soon as I get through the door.
Welcome, surviving pilot, Julian Paul. I am the new directive. Why are you here? Do not be alarmed. I am Julian Paul. This is the results of experimentation.
For the next task is going to be another bug. As the player, I want the turret I want the turrets to properly track and follow me as I move around them. Summary line is, the turret resets itself to default when partially detecting the player. Expected results, the turret should partially detect player but lose interest because they are not close enough or start shooting. It should be one or the other. It either starts shooting or it just ignores the player completely. Actual result, the turret partially spots the player at the edge of its vision cone, but not enough to lock on and resets itself. Steps to replicate is have the turret partially spot the player at the edge of its vision cone while turning, which is right at the edge of its vision cone, like the triangle at the edge. If the player hits that, it keeps doing something weird. Severity was medium because the problem only occurs at the very edge of the turret's cone of vision and must be deliberately repeated. Otherwise, acts as normal, and we'll see that in a second. That's because, like I said, it only happens at a very specific angle, and you have to just deliberately stand there to make it do it. Will it play? Okay. Turn the volume down. So right here, the turret is gonna partially spot the player right at the edge, and we'll see right here it keeps resetting itself. So instead of either detecting the player or shooting, detecting the player and shooting or ignoring the player, it sees the player, but because it's right at the edge of the vision and it can't lock on fast enough, it just keeps resetting itself over and over. And that just keeps happening. The tasks were as follows. Test turret follow in various directions, heights, and distances for turret variants, because I wanted to make sure it's not just that one turret and it's actually an issue with all of them. Attempt to apply fixes and changes to stationary turret, which is that one right there. Attempt to apply fixes and changes to mobile turret, and then test which were the turrets that can move around. And then adjust detection and vision logic to handle movement and partial detection better, which is what took the majority of the time, and then this took about 8 hours to do. And if I go ahead and head to the very same turret in the build, if I stand right where it was happening, the turret will either completely ignore me, which is what it should do, because I'm not close enough to get actually detected.
Depleted, your life is no longer supported.
I think if I move back a little bit, or maybe forward just a little bit. But either way, there you go. It's ignoring me. Or it'll start shooting at me. Those are the two behaviors it should be doing. So it's working as intended now. So I'm either just close enough for it to start shooting, or far away just enough for it to completely ignore me. And then I need some oxygen before I die. If I go ahead and head to my tasks again, those are the two bugs out of the way. The next one, why is this open? There we go. The next one is a regular task. As the player, I want bullets to shoot from my hands when I fire. Description is, the goal of this task is to make it so the player shoots from their hand. Currently, when firing, the bullets are shot from the center of the character towards the middle of the screen. The intention is for the bullets to fire from the from the hand and towards the middle of the screen regardless of distance. The bullets should not always fire at the same angle and miss targets. The bullets should land at the intended target at the middle of the reticle when firing. And there's a video example right here. Will it play? Okay. I'm gonna turn down the volume. And we can see right here, the bullets shoot right from the middle of the character, and they don't actually follow the reticle. As you'll see, it's not actually in the middle. Same for the laser. It's just shooting from the middle of the character. Sometimes it's in the middle, sometimes it's at the top. It tends to miss because it's not actually aiming at anything. It's just shooting straight out from the middle of the character. From the chest specifically, so if the chest is at an angle, it'll shoot at an angle. The goal of this was to not have that happen. And the tasks were, have the player bullets fire from the hand instead of the center of the character, have the bullets track to the target in the crosshair and not shoot directly forward from the hand, and adjust bullet trajectory and impact location, which was basically setting up a hit scan. And this took me about 5 hours to do. If I hop in the game now and grab some ammo, I'm gonna go ahead and turn around and just
press
show
R
it without
to
them.
reload when low.
Waiting for the R to go away. There we go. So the character now shoots from their hand. It's a little hard to see because the bullet travels really fast. But it's coming from my right side right now, and it shoots directly in the middle of the reticle, wherever it is. It hit scans for whatever object is there. Same for the laser. But I didn't have to pick it up yet. If I go ahead and pick up the laser,
Laser gun acquired.
laser does the same thing.
To swap weapons.
It'll shoot from the right of me, directly to whatever the line trace returns as the hit target.
Warning, low oxygen.
I'm gonna have to grab oxygen when I hop back in, but that leads me to the last task, which is, as the player, I want to be able to tell when I have destroyed turrets. Description is, the team has noticed that the turrets lack proper player-facing information. To remedy this, the goal is to have it be more obvious what happens to the turret when the player shoots it. The intention is for the turret to physically and visually be destroyed. This will be achieved through better visual communication by having the turret fall apart, as well as making an audible sound when it is destroyed. So this is... will it load? Okay. This is what the turrets used to be before the change. So they just sort of start up when you're close to them, start shooting at you, and then when you shoot them, they just pop away. Then the tasks were to improve turret visuals to better communicate orientation and direction, improve turret damage indication, and improve turret destruction indication. This took about 5.5 hours to do. Again, I went a little over the expected time because I didn't think it would take so long to do. But if we hop back into the game, this is what the turrets look like now. They are bright red, they glow. They're more obvious which one's the stationary one, which one's the moving one, because the moving one floats and bobs, and it has a little thruster under it to let you know it's actually moving around. And then when I shoot them, is he going to come back? There we go. They blow up, make a little sound, their barrels fall apart, fall to the ground, and then disappear. Like so. And that is the end of all of my tasks. Thankfully, I didn't run out of oxygen. Yes, so that is everything I worked on this sprint. It was mostly bug fixes and player-facing information. We wanted to make sure that it was obvious what the player was doing when the player was doing it, and not just have things like pop away and actually have visual feedback for what they're doing. And that's going to be all from me.
Hi, my name is Joshua Cologne, and I will be doing my final sprint review of our final build. So I'm a lead level designer for Precious Cobbler, and so obviously my main job was just to make sure levels were looking good and assets were where they needed to be, and it all made sense in the game. So I'll start off in level 1 because I mainly focused on the rock formations, making sure making sure the textures in there was good. Obviously, some bushes, some vegetation. So let me go back to our right here. So level 1 environment. As a player, I want to be able to see the trees and the rocks. Water was removed because it's supposed to be like a desert. So I imported the tree assets and replaced the trees with and rock formations and stuff like that. And I added some dust particles to the air. Um, as you can see, there's some trees over there, and some like little dust particles. Again, some more vegetation, some rocks, rock formation. I don't know if you can see the little particles in the air and these trees. That's what I did to this level, pretty much. So that little screen area where the ship is flying into, I did that material. For level 3, it was again like asset replacement. I kind of had that in this little group setting. So I replaced the assets in level 3, deleted all block mesh. Um, I changed the material in the phase box to be an invisible box that the player can only see during ghost possession. But I pretty much changed every block mesh in this level to be an asset, final assets for the level. I also added um, some like level audio, like just to give it more atmosphere. Dust particles. There's like a slight atmosphere fog to this level as well, which I have on here. Level 3 design. I added volumetric fog, some dust, some lighting because the game is supposed to be uh, thrilling or like kind of psychological horror. So like it was too bright, so it didn't really give any kind of thrilling or horror atmosphere. So I just deleted some of the lights in the level and dimmed some of them that were placed correctly. Replaced the world grid material with more realistic materials in the level. Again, I added atmospheric audio. I placed the soda machine on the stairs. Um, so I just placed this right here, Zany Pop, um, just to be there. That's the block that well, it was changed into, I guess, glass pane that once the player possesses a ghost can phase through. Again, this is like the cargo area, so the player can, like, this is the final asset area for the cargo bay, and that's pretty much what I did for the rest of the level. And
This is Houston Control. Checking for backup. Backup initiated. Locking down all ports. Clear. And we are good to go.
This is Pilot Julian Hall, responding to ATMO distress call.
Mayday, Mayday, pilot unresponsive, ship out of control, prepare for crash landing. Warning, psychological vitals decreasing. Ship status, unrepairable damage, inoperable, objectives, updated. Visor malfunctioning, repairs needed. When suit is damaged, oxygen leaks from the suit. Increased damage levels increases oxygen depletion. Warning, low stamina. Warning, low oxygen.
Joe Goodrich here, and we're going to talk about my tasks that I completed. My first one was for reconfiguring the shooting. It had been set aside for the most part of the project, aside from some adjustments that were made to the projectile spawn. However, through testing, it was seen that it was sometimes not firing and sometimes like hitting objects and just going through them. My deduction on that was because the initial speed of it was so fast, and it was set to a component hit overlap for the detection, and that caused it to sometimes not even register because it was moving so fast. So I wanted to change it to a line trace, and to do that I had to create line trace to kind of guide the projectile towards where it was going and slow down the projectile, and then position the line trace to where it would fire towards the center of the reticle, and then integrate the ammo system and make it to where it would use ammo correctly. And then for the turrets, I added health to them so it was more than just one shot, because that just seemed kind of simple. And then I adjusted the code to follow a slightly different logical order on the destroy, because they were originally set to destroy as soon as the impact occurred. And we will stop there to look at that, and then we will move on to the next tasks. For the PFI task I added shield effects to the turret when they're impacted with, and whenever the turret takes damage, the shield will flash until the shield health is gone, and then it'll disappear and continue to damage the turret until they are destroyed. And the shield becomes less visible as it takes damage. I originally wanted to make a change from blue to red, but that just caused a lot of issues with the shield, so I opted to just kind of fade it out as it takes damage. And to make the shield look like it was moving, I had to animate the material from the impact point, and then it kind of spreads around the shield actor. And I added the material to a sphere and made it its own actor, and then attached that as a child actor to the shields. And then scaled the size to where it surrounds the turret and modified the code to where it would ignore turret bullets.
Warning, patrolling turret. They patrol to increase their detection range.
The camera constraint that I implemented was a lot easier than I initially thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to have to do a whole bunch of stuff with line tracing and bounds checks and all of this, and it turns out that all I really had to do was set the pitch minimum and maximum for the camera on the camera manager, I believe it was, and that worked pretty well, actually. I thought I was going to have to do a lot of stuff. So my initial thoughts on all of this that needed to be done wasn't really what needed to be done. And I do have one task that wasn't finished, and that was my balancing task, because I spent most of the month fixing bugs and testing for new bugs and making builds and coordinating with the art team and implementing that stuff into the engine, and then making sure everything was running smoothly.